So, thank you for being here. Thanks. This is spiritual therapy for the Aquarian Age. Today is July the 14th. This is actually our second episode that we're recording today. It is 4:08 p.m. in the afternoon for those astrologers out there that like to know the exact time.
Right.
And so I have a guest with me, and I would like, before we really get into the meat of everything, please just, I'd like you to introduce yourself. Who are you? How do you identify? What does identity mean to you?
Ooh, who am I? Let me take a breath. Let me take a breath and let me ask my heart, who am I today? Because like I'm just so many different things and people some days. And so my name is Shiann, and that means she who speaks another language. And a few years ago, when I was beginning my educator journey, a mentor told me to get a definition of my name. And I just thought like it meant princess. Like that's what my mom told me. And so upon further investigation, come to find out that Shiann is the name of an indigenous tribe. And it means that she who speaks another language. And so that has played out in my life, super interesting. So yes, I am a spoken word artist. I am a educator. I am a healer. And the work for me is creating spaces for Black folks. There's something about Black folks that I just love so much, Black women, Black youth in particular. And so the work for me in this life journey is, creating voices that creating spaces that amplify the voices of Black women and youth. And amplifying my own voice, God damn it.
Right?
Right. And so that's who I am today. Tomorrow it might change, but today, that's who I feel like I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Can I also ask your pronouns?
Yes, she, her. Can I swear or no?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, I probably will too, so FYI.
Oh my goodness. I love to say that my pronouns are she, her, bad little bitch. Like, I just love.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. How are you known? So we briefly went into it, but we'll go in a little bit deeper. What do you do in your everyday? Do you consider it your vocation or your calling?
What do I do in my everyday? I dream a lot. I dream a lot. And before, when I was younger, there used to be I wasn't very grounded. I existed a lot in like my head and like dreaming things.
What's your sign?
I'm in Aries.
Oh, Aries?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know
March.
your moon and your rising?
Oh my God. Girl.
We'll have to get into that.
Yeah. We'll do that a little bit after.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, I'm a dreamer naturally. And at first it was really hard for me to like be grounded in like this earth plane.
Right.
And so now I'm using that dream like magic to manifest things and to conjure things. And so yeah, I would say that dreaming is my resistance. I would say that dreaming is my calling. And birthing those dreams into reality and into spaces. Yeah.
I love that. My heart loves that.
I love it too.
Dreaming. Yes. What have you done in your life that you are most proud of?
Sorry?
What have you done in your life that you are most proud of?
Oh my goodness.
Knowing that there's always more.
Yeah. You know, this afternoon I got an email from someone in community that I run organization with. Generation Chosen, specifically, is this space for Black youth to come and learn and blossom. And so we'll link it down below. And so I curated this workshop called Between the World and Me, specifically for Black youth using poetry and spoken word. And so Dwayne Brown, he's so dope. He sent me an email as a testimonial, just his feedback.
Right.
And I read it and it was just so beautiful. And so yeah, I'm feeling like most proud of that. I'm feeling most proud of the way that I love on youth. I'm feeling so proud that I created a space that centered their voices and their stories. And they shared with me poetry that they wrote in the bin. I was like, what is this? And they're like, this, I wrote this poem in the bin about this girl. And I'm like, who is this girl? And it just really touched me. It really touched me. And so I'm most proud of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with me. Where should we start? Where and how did you first learn about faith and spirituality? And does this expression still resonate for you?
I first saw faith and spirituality in my family, hearing stories of magical things, hearing stories of, girl, just some crazy stories. Okay,
yeah, like what?
Caribbean. Like what? My family's Caribbean. I was born in Guyana. And so, yeah, I always grew up hearing stories of healings. I come from a lineage of healers and alchemists and priestesses. And so I've always heard crazy ass stories about obia, about witchcraft, about Christianity, about root work, about how to mix different herbs to heal different things, about which great auntie named Joyce didn't do this, and just all of those stories. And when I got older, or I feel like recently I started to tap into those things for myself, but at first it was the stories. Was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago, I got fired from Cambridge Memorial Hospital. Okay, they fired me. And that summer, I had to learn about faith.
2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That summer, I had to learn about faith.
Right.
That whole entire summer, I was broke. I was fired. I knew that I wanted to be an educator. I knew that I wanted to be an artist. And that summer really stretched my faith in the way that I waited. I knew that something around the corner was coming up. And I felt that spirit was really calling me to wait in patience. And it was so interesting because that fall coming up is when I started this program with Generation Chosen, and I started teaching at all these different places.
Right.
And so, yeah, in retrospect, looking back at that summer, I feel like that's when I was first introduced to like faith. And like, how does it look like when you're waiting for something? Are you waiting and are you stressing, or are you waiting and are you trusting spirit and trusting yourself? Yeah, girl, 2018.
Yeah, I know. I know. Transformative, fucking painful year for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's so true with that waiting and holding and knowing that there's more and bigger and better.
Right.
Yeah. What did you learn about spirituality and faith when you were younger? And was there anything missing in that learning for you?
I feel like when I was younger, I always loved the stories that I heard, the magical stories that I heard. When it came to Christianity, I believe in 2012, I don't remember what year it was, but there was this one year, my mom loves Christmas, and she was getting ready for Christmas, and I had just finished watching, what's that documentary? Hidden Colors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had just finished watching Hidden Colors 2.
Right.
I was on my Black Panther shit.
Right.
And I was like, who is this white Jesus? And I refused to participate in Christmas. And mom was like, you need God. Like, and I'm like, who's God? Anyway, I really had to go on a decolonizing Jesus journey. I had to go on a decolonizing religion journey. And for a lot of years, I rejected everything to do with Christianity. And it wasn't up until like very recently where I accepted that there was this prophet, this Messiah by the name of Jesus, whatever the name is, and that this person's color was manipulated, as so was the message. But yeah, that was a super pivotal point for me because it caused a lot of like rifts, not a lot, but some rift in like my family structure, more specifically between me and my mom, and me having to create my own, not even religion, but my own way of seeing things and feeling things and believing in things. And white Jesus was not it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't.
Yeah. Thank you for, I have the same, very similar experience, so thank you for speaking to that.
Yeah.
How is faith different from spirituality? And what does faith look like, and what does spirituality look like for you?
I don't feel like they're different for me. I feel like they are one in the same, because when I'm manifesting something, I'm having faith, right? When I'm praying to Creator, I'm having faith. When I'm choosing to trust in myself, I'm having faith. If anything, I would say that my spiritual practice is tangible ways in which I can practice faith, but faith to me is the center of it. Faith to me is believing in something that's not yet here. Faith to me is all of the things, and learning how to have faith and how to wait has been the lesson. But to me, yeah, faith and spirituality is one and the same, I feel like.
So I think it could be at this time that you had spoken about, but how has your faith changed and or deepened? And do you mind occurring how and why that change occurred? Whether it was like on consecutive or that pivotal moment that happened in 2018?
Yeah, it was that damn 2018, right? Because again, right, I was going through, and even when I was fired, you know, like when they fired me, I was just like, is y'all finished or is y'all done? Like I was just not even really in a panicked space. As like the months and weeks went by, there were moments when I was like, okay, like what's happening now? But after I went through that and I saw what was on the other side, I was like, okay. Another really interesting moment for me was at the beginning of this year. So I celebrate the new year in March. Like the new year is not in January, it's in March. My birthday's in March. And so I was creating my 2020 vision board. So I was taking off all of the stuff from 2019. And I'm looking at this stuff and I realized.
Oh, you removed yours, eh? Sorry, I have to pause. You removed yours, eh? Can we just pause for a second?
Okay.
No, you're removing of the pieces.
Yeah.
Instead of like making a new one?
You know what? It's interesting. I don't even know if I did that deliberately or if it just kind of happened that way.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'll show it to you.
Yeah, please.
A little vision board.
Yeah.
Try to big vision board.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, I was taking off the visions from 2019.
Right.
And I realized that I did it.
Okay. Wow.
And something in me clicked where I realized that I was the fucking magician that I've been waiting for.
Right.
And so if I could manifest the things that I completed last year, then surely I can dream bigger and manifest better. And if you see it here, I got my little black love brewing.
Yes.
I got my little black love brewing on my vision board. But those two moments really opened my eyes up to the power of faith and the power of believing in myself and knowing that all along I've been what I was looking for. Was that the question?
Yes, absolutely. Do you feel like your faith and spirituality, one and the same, activated that moment?
I feel like the faith was the precursor to the spirituality. Okay. The faith happened first, and then I was able to learn different ways to hold a spiritual practice for myself. And it's interesting that it happened that way. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Activated your faith, that activated your spirituality.
Right.
And for you, it was very it feels like it was very timely, but also like things happen very quickly. Like to your manifestation point, things happen very, even like there was even amidst, I'm sure, the time of feeling like that time, like, okay, like, you know, we need to get on things or whatever, but still it was still, you know,
divinely
guided. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you speak about your faith and spirituality? Why or why not?
You know what? Let me have a little water for this. I've kept it very private. I've kept it very private. I've kept a lot private. I feel like now I'm ready to open up and to speak about my faith and to speak about my spirituality. But before I was still, first of all, learning how to cultivate it for myself.
Right.
I was still trying to like decolonize a bunch of shit. I was still learning my own voice. But I feel like right now, yeah, I'm ready to have conversations about that. I'm ready to have conversations about like decolonizing Black, white Jesus. I'm ready to have conversations about ancestral healing. I'm ready to have all of those conversations.
Right.
But in the past, I feel like I was just too scared to. I was too scared of like what people think if I told them that like I'm a little clairvoyant, or like what would people think if I told them that like I have staff meetings with my spirit guides, like
right.
Yeah.
And that's not just within family or community, that's like everywhere, that feeling like need to protect.
Yeah, a little bit of both. I feel like the family, not so much anymore now that we've had certain conversations and I understand that the gifts are very much ancestral and very much present within the family.
Right.
So I feel like right now it's community and then it's trickling into like the collective.
Right.
But I feel like, you know, there's so much ghetto shit happening that I can't really be fearful anymore. I have to, you know, speak and say what spirit is wanting me to say.
Right.
Because Earth is a little ghetto right now.
That's right. That's right. When we speak about like family, I do feel, and I'm sure, I mean, I'd like to hear your feedback, but this time of COVID, as people like to say, well, really since the beginning of March, or middle of March, has transformed a lot of families. Do you feel like, and faith, I think as well. So it's kind of a two-part question, but does that resonate for you? And do you feel like healing has been happening in your family, and faith journey?
That's a very interesting question because during COVID, I spent a lot of time inwardly. I spent a lot of time working on the back end of my business. I felt like I was using this time to create space for my own family, for my soul family. I feel like I may have neglected my like biological family in that process. But I felt like I was really being called to create space for my soul family. And that in of itself, girl, has been 26 years in the making of faith. A little bit before COVID, I got this download from my ancestors to create and do something very specific and to show up in a way as a healer, as myself, really. And at the time, I couldn't really see myself in that way. And so it took months and months and months of having faith in myself, of believing in myself, of believing in the guidance that I was getting, believing in the downloads that I was getting, and pursuing a vision that was like cosmically given to me, and wondering, okay, will people get this? Will people feel inclined to this? But yeah, that's where the faith piece kicks in for me. And I'm seeing now how that's been such a reoccurring theme for me.
In what way?
Again, yeah, faith and spirituality are so intertwined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to go kind of take it in a different way, but do you incorporate your faith and spiritual practices with the work that you do with the youth? And how does that show up? Or is it just something you embody? It's not something so instructional.
That's a good question. Can you say that again?
Yeah. So the work that you do with youth,
you
incorporate, like intentionally incorporate your faith and spirituality? Or is it more of an embodiment?
That's such a great question. I feel like I embody that just by being. And my intention is that I activate that within them.
Right.
That they can have the faith to believe in themselves.
Right.
Even saying that makes me like so.
I know.
Right.
I'm thinking like, I wish I had that, yeah, that at that time, just, yeah. Because, I personally, I grew up in Milton, so I didn't have that representation, other than my parents, and, being in a community where you're, been dominant, you're kind of just like, your parents want to keep you so safe, and so sometimes means, so it's cool to hear what you're doing and what you're, the service that you're really investing in and offering. Is service a big part of your family or your upbringing? Because it does feel like it's part of your faith.
Yeah. Girl, I come from a lineage of women. My great grandmother Vashti, who's still alive, by the way, okay, had 11 children, 12 children. Wow. I come from a huge family. I come from stories of a great uncle who had a spiritual church in Guyana. I come from, a great grandmother who literally opened her damn back door to like every, kid in the village. Right. I come from women who are activists. I service is in my DNA. Service and community is in my DNA. It is indigenous, it is tribal. It's in the way that we, wine up and link up for food and barbecue and slap to domino.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is in your spiritual toolbox? And of all of the things, what are your go-to tools?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like I'm still cultivating it. Cultivating it. There are moments where I know that I need a spiritual bath and I don't take it. There's moments where I know that I need to be drinking, some herbal teas and I don't drink it. Right. So I feel like it's being more consistent and being more, I hate the word structure, but I feel like maybe I could incorporate that more.
Right.
But as of right now, I'm really enjoying, I channel a lot. Okay. At first, when I was younger.
Writing, or how do you receive it? I have to interject. How do you receive it?
Yeah. So at first, when I would write poetry, I didn't know that I was channeling. But at first it was definitely through writing. Right. And now it's like telepathic.
Okay.
So I feel like that has been a major tool for me. Just my intuition has definitely gotten stronger. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm still exploring. Okay. Yeah.
And may I also suggest your voice, like your vocal, like what I would see is like your vocal work being like a tool, just from the external. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's how I see you. Yeah. Using your voice,
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I also didn't know. So I've been doing poetry since like high school, like since I came out the vagina, I've been like writing poetry. And I didn't know that when I was performing that I was also channeling. you know, it was a very like outer body experience. It was a very like ancestral experience. And I didn't know that. I was literally channeling the ancestors. So that has been a really huge tool for me. Performing poetry, I would say, yeah, definitely.
I love it.
Yeah.
What is up next for you in this realm of learning, spirituality, faith, and self-development?
I love it. What's up next is crafting spaces. I feel like I've done really beautiful workshops. I want to be more intentional with those spaces, and more intentional with cultivating. I didn't want to say a brand. I feel like I don't really like that word. So let me just go back to spaces. Before COVID, I got this download, girl. The ancestors were like, listen to me. I'm going to need you. What was the message? The message was to reconnect to the medicine of your grandmother, bring your sisters and come. And I'm like, bring my sisters, where we going? And Spirit's like, create the table and they will come. And I'm like, what table? And they were like, all you need to do is create the space and they will come.
Right.
And I said, okay. And they were like, okay. Anyways, whatever. That's literally how we talk to each other.
Don't you find, I have to say, don't you find when you're talking to your guys, they're like your ancestors? Like how? Sometimes I'm like, but like why? Like, yeah. Sometimes I've had like, you know, my ancestor come be like, just come sit with me. You know, just come. Like what, you know?
Yeah, come now. Like,
yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm coming.
I'm in trouble, auntie, and you're never in trouble. It's always some wisdom shit, like some deep wisdom.
Exactly. A little.
Oh, but yeah, being so yeah, the next chapter for me is cultivating this space or spaces for Black women in particular to come get this healing, through sound healing, through Reiki, through poetry, and really creating space to reclaim our ancestral wisdom and our ancestral magic. The time has come. So yeah, that's what I'm really passionate about right now. So that can look like workshops, that can look like, you know, a little wound sound thing we got coming up.
That's right, right. I think we'll have the date in the bottom by the time it comes up. This will be posted on July the 27th.
Okay, so
we'll have all the information by then.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right on. Last question. If you could share a message about faith, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. Let me ask my spirit guide. They're like, you talk. Really believing in yourself. Really believing in yourself. There was a moment in my journey where I really had to, there was a moment in my journey where it really felt like no one believed in me. It felt like my mom didn't believe in me. It felt like, you know, the people around me didn't believe in me. And then I came to the realization that that in of itself was an illusion and that I didn't need to wait for anyone to believe in me. You know, and the power really has been in believing myself. Yeah. That is the power. Cultivating your talents. I really feel like there's going to be a time in the new earth where by your work you shall be known. Yeah. So if I can give a message right now, it would definitely be to believe in yourself and to cultivate your talents. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shiann.
Oh, thank you, Sheena, for having me.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait. I know this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
There's so many things. And I'm excited to have had this conversation, and I'll be excited to invite you back.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So I will just take a moment, because I know I don't think I did it at the beginning. Just to acknowledge the land.
Yes.
And just, the Indigenous caretakers. And no matter what form that we do this, I just want to make sure that I give praise and worship to the indigenous caretakers all over the world, not just Turtle Island, really all over the world, that show us their ways of knowing and being and
Right.
sustainability, you know? And yeah, so thank you. Thanks for this time. Thank you for your time. And I'll see you next time.
I'll see you next time, Sheena.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.